got a potato PC, these 5 games prove you don't need expensive hardware to play amazing games. Welcome to Green Lycan. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 best low-end PC games that you can play on your potato PC. And just to be clear, you don't need to have a potato PC to play these games. You can play them even with a high-end one if you really want to. They're just good fun games that you can run on anything. Let's get straight into it with number 1, Walking Zombie 2. Walking Zombie 2 is a survival RPG and first-person shooter. It is a single-player post-apocalyptic FPS game that has a polygon graphic style that makes it easy to run even on the worst potato that you could possibly have. There's vehicles, weapon skins, different types of gear and equipment. The game came out in 2019 and it is the best survival game that you could play. It has a very positive rating with 3,732 reviews, and for the moment you've been waiting for, in order to run it, you need to be running Windows 7 or higher, you need an Intel i3 processor, and a dedicated GPU. Not even a listed GPU, just a dedicated GPU. You may be able to run this with onboard graphics with a modern PC, but you just need a GPU that plugs in separately that is dedicated to graphics and you can run this game. And as we're already on the subject of post-apocalyptic games, next up is Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas is the post-apocalyptic series of the century, essentially. It's a single-player post-apocalyptic game, just like the previous one, but with better graphics and a lot more to do in the game. It has a massive open world, loads of gear and weapons and things you can pick up, and just loads of quests and side quests and things to keep you busy for a long time. And even though you can run this on a dual-core 2 GHz processor on, and this is a game old enough that it lists XP as an operating system that you need, all you need is the dual-core processor like I just mentioned, 2 GB of RAM, 10 GB of storage space, and an NVIDIA GeForce 6 series, or this game is so old that it literally has ATI listed, a 1300 XT series ATI graphics card. The game still looks awesome and still plays really good, so it's definitely worth a go, especially if you've got the specs to run it and you like Fallout games. Next up is Counter-Strike 2. I think anyone that knows shooting games knows Counter-Strike. CSGO was a massive game for so long. Now we have Counter-Strike 2, which is just as good as CSGO was, as it's essentially just an upgraded version of CSGO. This is a free-to-play game that has casual, deathmatch, arms race, hostage rescue, all sorts of different game modes, with competitive game modes that do 5v5 and casual game modes that do 10v10. It's really easy to get into, and with the graphics as good as they are, it's surprisingly processor heavy in the way that it runs. The specs are Windows 10 operating system. It needs a 4 hardware CPU threads. So 4 threaded CPU. That is an Intel Core i5 or higher. 8 GB of RAM, and your video card must be 1 GB or more and should be DirectX 11 compatible. So basically it can be onboard graphics just like the first game we mentioned. Moving on to the 4th game in the list, Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 is an open world first person shooter set on an island. If you played the newest Far Cry games, this was before they started to get too complicated and just the game was really fun. They do have a full co-op campaign available so you can play multiplayer, though I'm not entirely sure if the servers are still online for it, but it's worth checking out. Generally speaking though, this is a really good fun game that allows you to get into vehicles, get different weapons and stuff, and just generally go around just destroying things and blowing things up and just going mental on an island. Far Cry 3 has one of the most forgettable bad guys that very quickly just disappears, and then you get a real bad guy pop up. When it comes to the specs, you need at least Windows XP, a dual-core processor, 4 GB of RAM, and at least 512 MB of video RAM on your graphics card. It also requires at least 15 GB of hard drive space in order to save the game and install it, and 10% off of WRAITH Energy using code GREENLYCAN if you want to get it, so check it out in the link in the description below. And finally, Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, I know you might be thinking, well, hold on a minute, that's actually quite a graphically intense game, but surprisingly it's not. You have to remember that this game released in 2013, so anything released within the last 5 years will run this quite easily. For anyone that somehow doesn't know what GTA 5 is, You play as 3 different characters, Franklin, Michael and Trevor, and you play out a whole storyline in this open world RPG style game that just allows you to mess around and do anything you want. Most people will play this game multiplayer with their friends so they can just go around shooting people and blowing things up. And there are other variants online that allow you to play a bit more in-depth stuff, like 5M, that allows you to basically live a life and get a job and make money and all of that sort of thing. It's a role-playing server that makes it much more realistic to play if you're okay with that. But the basic game itself requires Windows 10 latest, and this is on the enhanced version, by the way, not the original version. An Intel Core i7 or an AMD FX 9590, which is older generation processors, 8GB of RAM, 105GB of storage space to install the game, and a GTX 1630 with 4GB of VRAM or an AMD Radeon RX 6400. But basically, if you got anything newer than a 1080, you can run this game perfectly fine. Even the recommended high settings on this is an RTX 3060, which is still not even the most modern version of graphics card that you can get. It's a few generations back. And there you have it. If you have a low-end PC or a potato and you want to play some games and you're not sure what to get, these are 5 games that you can play very easily on your potato without any issues. There's some of the best games out there as well. When it comes down to it, games like GTA 5, a lot of people don't realise that you can run that on a potato. It's not a new game, it's very old. A lot of people think that when it comes to gaming you need a high-end rig or a high-end high-spec PC, but what you got to realise is that consoles that these games were made for were the Xbox One and PS4 that were released in 2013. Even the Xbox Series X and the PS5 are massively outdated when it comes to technology because they released back in 2020. They're 5 years old. That's quite old when it comes to technology. So if you haven't already, which game are you trying first? Get down in the comments below, let me know what game you're going to be trying, and let me know that if you do have a potato, what are the specs on your PC? What are you actually running, and what are your limitations when it comes to gaming? Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get updated on my new content, because I'm doing a lot of list content and comparison videos now. It's actually very interesting. As someone that does content creation, I try to keep the newest technology that I can, but you do have to realize when you speak to people, there's a lot of people that don't have the newest technology. There are people out there, believe it or not, that don't actually have the newest smartphones, and their smartphone might be like about 10 years old. But if you want another list video of PC games that you can play, check out top 5 most realistic hacking games over here, which coincidentally are games that you can play on a potato PC as well.